Dear queer representation, thank you. Thank you so goddamn much. It's hard for me to put into words how powerful it is to finally see people who love like me on TV or the internet or in the books I read. It's like when I see you, there's a little voice that's saying, it's okay to be you, and every time it gets louder and more powerful. Like the mainstream world is slowly validating my existence piece by piece. And maybe that's why I cry every time I see you, even if you're supposed to be hot or sappy or funny. Because there's just something so beautiful about seeing all of these versions of myself up on screen for the first time. I wonder what my childhood would have been like if we had the same kind of representation we do now then. Of course, I was lucky to have gay people in my life since I was little, to have queerness relatively normalized. But at the same time, what would it have been like for the larger world to start whispering, hey, it's okay to be you, a little sooner? Maybe I would have been able to stand up to the boys at recess who said, that's so gay, as if being gay was the worst thing in the world. Maybe I would have told my ultra-Christian counselor that no, in fact, being gay wasn't a sin. Maybe I wouldn't have been so scared to join GSA. I wish that young Hannah Karp had had Fun Home and Dante and Aristotle discover the secrets of the universe and Steven Universe. I wish she had more role models that didn't just tolerate but validated her queerness from the beginning. Maybe then she wouldn't have been so afraid. And it's awesome that so much change has happened in such a short period of time. That now I have orange is the new black, and Carmilla, and blue is the warmest color. But it's also scary, because there's this part of my sense of self, my emotional well-being, my own validation that completely relies on strangers, on Hollywood, on the industry. All this time they had, to some extent, the power to make or break me. And it's scary that there's this element of my safety and security that's so much out of my hands. Because it still hurts like hell when the majority of these shows kill off queer characters, often women. Because there are still days when the big guys make a call and there's another dead queer person on TV, and suddenly I'm told yet again that my existence doesn't matter by the media. And sometimes I feel like we're fighting so hard for representation, and still all we have is a small number of living queer characters. Never mind nuanced, non-stereotypical ones. And it scares me because it's exhausting and overwhelming, and so much of the time there's nothing I can do about it. And I know it sounds cliche, but some days I'm overwhelmed with the unfairness of it all, how hard we have to work for so little, when straight people don't even have to think about it. Thinking about representation has been one of the only times in recent memory that there's been some part of me that wished I wasn't gay. But maybe that's just part of navigating this complicated thing we call queerness. Because there are also the days when I read a story or a play or this letter, and suddenly there's one more piece of art out in the world that has queer characters or topics or discussions. And even if it's such a small fraction of the world, I'm not powerless. I am doing something. And maybe by simply existing, I'm also doing something. Even if I mean nothing to the majority of the world population, I'm still an aspiring, abashedly queer nobody writer making my way in the world. And that's got to count for something. With so much love and hope for change, Hannah.